Hey, good morning and welcome to another Thursday Live. I'm Dr. Jerry Dreesen, your host here at the Association of PEMF Professionals. And today, what I'd like to do is talk about um, some information as far as what we've all been talking about, and that's the PEMF dosing, as far as what's the recipe. And so this is basically a member briefing on standardized protocol, dosing science, and what operators should do today. And the goal today is to kind of walk you through what it is we're looking for, but then also to give you some steps that you can do to help us start to collect these things too. So, the core situation is that the research is clear on does it work, not yet on how much does it work. And we're past the question of whether we're in the harder work of figuring out exactly how much, how often, and at what settings. And the single most repeated conclusion across the PEMF literature, and that's where the science is going. That's where you're going to see more and more research is going to be done on time and power now that we're going to have those abilities to be logged in. So the standardized protocol has not yet been established. But again, it's not a weakness to hide. And every young field goes through this. That's what we're doing. And so naming it honestly is what separates a professional operator from someone selling magic. I like that phrase. It's like, well, I don't know, let's try it and see what happens versus you need exactly blank to get blank results. And for me in my clinic, somebody comes in with shoulder pain. They go, hey, can I try this PEMF device out? I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. What do I need to do? I said, well, let's just set you up first for 10 minutes, really low, and see what your body does. And then from that, I gauge it. If it's they've barely felt anything, or what's going on with the shoulder? Are they a 97-year-old woman, or are they a guy that works out 3 times a week and his shoulders are huge? So those are some of the other things as well. So that's why it's really tough to tell somebody exactly what the setting should be, where it should go, and that's where your discernment counts too, as far as being able to figure some of these things out. And excuse me, the uncertainty has real explainable causes. So again, PEMF isn't one thing. There's devices that vary in waveform, as you know. There's different frequencies, there's different coil designs, different intensities, and unlike a drug where the molecule is the same no matter who makes it, um, a pharmaceutical product is always going to be this standardized version, and you take 1 or 2 or 3 of those. Whereas PEMF, there is no standardized version. And the other thing I like about it too is what I hinted about in the last slide is it depends on what you're placing it on and what the problem is. So it's a very dynamic situation, and so usually biology is parameter specific. So, real evidence on biological windows exist where one frequency intensity band works and another doesn't. We know that there's a certain frequency that helps heal bone. We know that there's another certain frequency that helps with PTSD. And again, length of time. And we get good results when we live within certain parameters, and there's some parameters that haven't been explored yet. And that's the interesting thing, is that the parameter range is enormous. Studies span a fraction of 1 hertz to hundreds of hertz, and intensities from under 1 microtesla to hundreds of Tesla. And again, it's too wide of a pool to answer. So there's no standardization. But again, people aren't walking in, animals aren't walking in with 100% the exact same thing. And again, recognizing that as a profession is going to give us a lot more leeway on where we're going with writing down protocols. And then also reporting has lagged. So devices were built commercially before dose science existed. So there were many trials that are small but haven't consistently reported exact settings. So you can have a study on mice, and that study done 5 years later, it's going to get different results because technology is different. The parameters with the mice, what were they fed, what was the problem. So as you can see, it's very tough to um, create a very specific thing every single time. But I look at it this way: it doesn't matter because we're getting great results. We're using our brain to figure out what we should be doing with these different situations and how PEMF best handles it. We all know go low and slow. We all know, 10 minutes first to see how you do, and then expand from there. We all know that once you get an animal or a human under your sessions, that you pretty much know where the device, what device is going to go where for how long, and that entity that you're placing this on is going to be able to handle X amount of dose for X amount of time. And now it's just repeating that. But it took you a while to figure out what that particular part was for one. And there are generic ones too. It's like 20 minutes, put it on. We're going to put it on, if it's a digital, 15, 25 minutes, and, it's going to be on medium or on high. So some of them you don't have to really worry about dialing in like you would with an analog, where sometimes that spark gap isn't exactly the same every time. So that's kind of a more of a hands-on science, I guess I would say. So again, as far as how it's being addressed, is that the field knows the problem and is actively working on it. So standards named in print. So major reviews now explicitly call for a standard parameters and reporting of intensity, frequency, dose duration, and coil type. Pooling data to find the windows. So cellular studies are being mapped by frequency, intensity band. Early work points to stronger effects in higher frequency, mid-intensity ranges with repeated exposure. A pharmacological approach is newer bone healing research treats PEMF settings like drug doses, where they optimize the amplitude, the frequency, and exposure until a dose response curve appears. And then more rigorous trials. So recent studies use blinded assessors, placebo groups, objective sensor data, trying specific protocols to measure the outcomes, which is great. And that's what we're hoping, finally we're getting where we can create devices to create feedback. We can create devices that sense what's going on. And so, again, that shows that we're forefront in helping with this PEMF science or session or treatment to move forward. And then the exact operator question asked aloud. So, when a single equine session helped only briefly, researchers called for a follow up on how many sessions it takes to hold the effect. So, again, the right questions are being asked, and we're asking those out loud. And the same thing on the human side. So, how many sessions do I need before I start feeling X? Well, Mr. Smith, your issue that you have right now, there are very little amount of people that have what you have that have been put in a placebo controlled double blind study to determine what the best outcome is as far as the sessions. And so I'm going to be able to use what I know with other people that are similar to get things set up. And then you're basically the alpha model. You're the guinea pig on what works best. So we're going to keep track of this so that way we can help other people that show up in the future with what you have too. Then also AOPP's role. Consistent member record keeping is real world data. And the AOPP, we are developing a data tracker so that the profession contributes to the answer. And that's one of the things that we were hoping to have ready to release earlier last week, but we're still got a couple of glitches going on. We've got a working model with the things that we want, but again, we want to be able to have it available for you to be online to use it and on your phone to use it. And then we're able to collect that information. So now we can become a global hub for collecting that information. And then from that, we'll be able to call out all of the here's what works, here's what doesn't work, and be able to get some of this stuff out there too. So the practical guidance that holds up while the science matures is know your own device. Findings don't transfer between machines. Work from manufacturer guidance for the device you actually use. Match intensity depth. So deeper structures generally call for higher intensity and superficial work needs less. There's also a difference between bone and muscle, and inflamed tissue and non-inflamed tissue. Document every session. So settings, length, frequency, observed outcomes. Good practice. It's good practice, but then it also builds the field's evidence base that we're trying to collect. And then think in courses, not in single sessions. So evidence favors repeated application. Set expectations for a series, not a one-time fix. So when you are working with somebody, if it's just one time, I mean, fine, that there's nothing wrong with that, but don't give them the expectation they're going to walk out of the room, or the animal's going to walk out of the room completely back to normal based on what's happening, or to have a reduced area that is gone completely, but it will be better, right? So observe and adjust to the individual. Optimal settings may be case specific, much like medication dosing. So that's kind of what I hinted about before. How big is the person? How big is the animal? What's the problem? Are we over bone? Are we healing bone? Are we, on muscle? Are we relaxing the animal or the human? All of those things, and that should be part of the notes that you're taking. So that way, if anybody were to look at that session, all of that information that we just talked about will be right there, and we can add that to our database. And then don't oversell precision. So avoid claiming one exact frequency treats one exact condition and then describe what you observe. So there are manufacturers that say, hey, if you're going to be working with this type of problem, we recommend this frequency and this session. We recommend these parameters. And that's fine if they have the research to back that up. But then also don't assume that just that one protocol will take care of what they're saying, because there could be other devices, protocols, times, sessions that can do the same thing. We just don't have all of the data to say that yet. So that was my main point on that slide. So again, the takeaway is that is that every session logged today is part of tomorrow's protocol. So the science is moving from does it work to what's the recipe, and careful, honest operators and consistent AOPP records are how the profession gets there. So if you can imagine showing up, seeing what's going on, and knowing from all of the case reviews, thousands and thousands and thousands, a month, globally, collecting all that information, where you can say, well, based on our data, this is the best protocol, this is the length of sessions, this is the number of times that we need to do this, because people that have done this have found this to happen. So that's where we want to be going with this. And again, that's how your records become field evidence. And with that, that's pretty much what today is all about, is, does it work to what's the recipe? And as we get the tracker out, you'll have a link to it so that you can jump in and start using it. And like I said, our goal is to, through the rest of this month, to not only have it developed, but to have had it gone through testing, beta testing, make sure it doesn't fall apart, right? So I want to thank you for your time today. I had a little bit of a glitch where I couldn't answer your live drop-ins and stuff, so I apologize for not being able to see those and respond, because that's half the fun, is talking with all of you, jumping in. So I appreciate those of you that have added information throughout my talk, and then also I'll be able to jump in later on the Facebook page and address any questions there too. If you are ready to pull the trigger and become a member, definitely go to our PEMFprofessionals.com. Get certified. You don't have to go through any certification. You can be a donator where you help us with these things. So if you're not a PEMF user, we actually have one of the courses where it's just general PEMF, what it is, what it's all about. So we help out people with that too. But if you are using a PEMF device with humans or animals and you want to take your level up to the next step by getting certified by a global organization, that's why we're here. Any questions or tips? info@PEMFprofessionals.com. And again, to let other people know about us, you can like and share what we've got. Facebook, LinkedIn, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube. YouTube's going to change a little bit. We're going to have all of our lives that we've done. We're going to, and some of our other recordings, we're going to group up so that way if you want to just watch anything we've done on government, then those will be available under that link. And so we're gonna segregate all these into these columns. So that's one of our other July things that we're going to be doing too. So with that, I want to wish you all a great day today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. All right, take care. Thanks, and bye.